Alright, we are back. We are going to be replacing the brake pads, front brake pads, on a 2007 Pontiac Vibe. This is going to apply to any of the first gen Vibes, Matrixes, and Corollas. So here we go. First things first, I want to go and get your lug wrench, 13/16 or 21 millimeters. I'm going to go and have to break these off first. After that, we're going to go and jack the car up and then proceed to go and get them off. Always want to go and get the lugs broken off before jacking it up, unless of course you're using an air impact, otherwise your wheel will just spin. Okay, now that we've got the lug nuts loosened up, I can kind of move my hand, but they're still going to be on. I have to go and jack the car up. There's a floor jack here, and you're going to see my support right here in the front. Just get your jack under it, make sure it's locked in, and jack the car up. We're doing both sides, so this is the preferred spot to go and jack it up so both wheels come up. Make sure you always use jack stands. And once this is up, we're going to place our two jack stands, same spot on both sides. And we got some good clearance, we don't want to get too high. And have our jack stands placed right under the A-frame. We're doing them both sides, just so we make sure that it doesn't fall on us. Now we can proceed to take the rest of the wheel off and get started on our brakes. Alright, we got the wheel off. Just a good practice. I like to go and place it underneath the front of the car, just in case it goes and happens to fall. You have someone else protecting you. I also like to go and place the lug nuts right here. It keeps good track of them. Just put them in their holes, make sure you have them all. They don't tend to run away. It also gets you a little bit of a platform you can set the caliper on. And this goes and helps out. Next thing we're going to have to do is take the caliper off. A 14 millimeter socket. We have two bolts. Just got to go and break them off here. Alright. Got one. Said you can use the tire as a little tray. Depends on how much you care about your wheels. These are ones off of Celica that were bought used. They're not in the greatest condition, but they're better than the Steelies that were on here. We just have those for snow tires. But you have that off. It's all cleared up. And from here, you just tilt your caliper back. Just rock it back and forth. Gets it off. Some people like to tie them up. As I said, I like to go and place it kind of leaning on the tire there. No tension on the hose. Just lean it across here. And here we can see our brake pads. So we'll just go and pop this out of the shim. And normally it'll rocking back and forth. Pop it out. See, these are pretty low. Pop the back side out. This is going to be the one with the indicator. It goes, makes a nice little squeaking sound. And as you can see, right here, it is pretty thin. Like I said, they're making a grinding sound, didn't even go to a squeak, so the indicator wasn't doing too much of its job. Pop the shims out. Normally the new brakes will come with them. We'll make sure we don't do it too rough, just in case they don't and we have to reuse them. Most people will want to go ahead and get the rotors resurfaced or replace them. We're actually going to be selling the car here in a few months. We just want to make sure it goes and out will stop. These haven't been actually scored too much. We're normally really good on doing the brakes and keeping up the maintenance of it. They're actually in fairly good condition still. Not the best, but They'll definitely work just to get a few pads in there. Other thing we're going to do is we're going to go and pull out our caliper pins, because we're going to go and be greasing them and cleaning them out. So some people do new hardware, but if you don't rip the boot on them and take them out carefully, you can go and clean them up. So I pulled those out. We're going to use some brake cleaner on them, get some new caliper grease, and get started on the new brakes. Okay, here's the caliper pin. Just took a shop rag and cleaned all the skunk off. You see the difference between the dirty one and the new one. Be real careful when pulling the boot off, unless you have a replacement boot. Might not be a bad idea anyway. And then just going to take a real tiny bit of your brake lube. Going to have a bigger bottle of it here in the shop in the garage, but it was a $5 deal from AutoZone, so I got a can of brake cleaner I was buying anyway, for which normally about $4.50, and got free brake lube and some brake fluid. And we'll get to that brake fluid part here in a minute, but I just want to go and take it, get a nice little coating of the caliper lube on there, and then go and put the boot back on same way you had it. Do one at a time so you have one to reference, and just make sure it's all nice and lubed up. Next thing we're going to go and do, after we go and get the caliper pins cleaned up and re-lubed, we are going to go and get the caliper compressed. For that, in a pinch you can use C-clamps. However, the best and most appropriate way is actually with one of the brake caliper compressor tools. These are pretty easy to use. What you want to do is take one of the old brake pads, place it in here. It's kind of hard doing it one-handed. Roll this down so it's nice and small. It can fit in here. Place it here. And then you will just rotate it. But one thing you want to do before you go and get that, you don't get too far on it, pop your hood, go under here, and you are going to want to go and take your brake fluid reservoir, and you're going to want to pop this open. It allows the pressure from the brake fluid to come up. Otherwise, it's going to make compressing the caliper really, really hard. Just turn it. It's going to compress in. And once it's all the way in, you're ready to put your new pads in. Alright, so we go and have the one caliper pin in. We have the caliper compressed. Just going to slide the other caliper pin in. One thing that I did go and find is that the new brake pads did not come with the hardware, and so we are reusing those shims. And now we're going to go and get the new brake pads, and you want to go and take some more of that lube, put it on the back here. Memory's running full, so I'm just going to pause and dump the camera, and we'll be back here in just a bit. But just go and rub that right on there. Any place on the edge, on the back side that's going to make contact, and that'll be great. Okay, so one thing I found out here is that the new brake does not come with the indicator for wear, but that's not a problem. The old one had it. So we can just take it from this corner, know what corner it's on, pop it off. You can see there's actually a little slot for them here. Have the indicator part facing in. And there we go, we transfer the indicator. And so now we're on the very last pad of this side. Our brake pad lube here. One packet, and we're going to last you for one axle, including doing the pins. So get that all over here on the back side, like we do on here, because it's also a contact point. And then once that's nice and coated, we can go and throw it on. There goes our indicator. And we'll pop that back. Alright. Get in the slot. Get it in the slot up here. Sometimes there's little tabs you have to move away. Just depends on the shim. In fact, I think this bottom one might have one. Sure. The shim is all the way pressed down. It's a lot easier to do with two hands, so one sec. Alright, we have that in. This took a little bit more effort than expected. So next we'll get the caliper back on. It'd be really handy if I could have it film anyway and do it with, like, I don't know, a cool little drone or something instead of having to hold one hand and work one-handed. Definitely a lot easier to work with two hands than one. Just make sure it's on there. Get these caliper bolts back in. And we're going to force it. It's not going right. Do it nice and easy and tight. And wrench tight here. There's probably a torque spec for him, but just gonna give it a little ugga. That's not with the impact, but let's stay. Do the same on the other side, and you're all set. Last thing to do before you go and get everything back on with the wheels, I want to go and put the cap back on your reservoir. Go and pump it a few times after you start the car. Those pistons are going to go and contract back in, and when they do, that reservoir is going to go down. Make sure it's in spec afterwards. Go and get your tires on. You do that before or after. I'm actually leaving them off right now because I'm going to do a rotate on them, and it's there about time for that. But that is how you change the brakes on a 2007 Pontiac Vibe, or any of the first gen Vibes, first gen Matrixes, or any of the Corollas this year. I believe the range goes from about 03 to 07. Alright, anyway, that's all there is to it. After that, get your wheels on, jack it up, take your jack stands off, just do the reverse. You have successfully changed the brakes. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.